Payday hits. You check your bank account, feel briefly rich, order something you didn't need, and 3 days later you're eating cereal for dinner again, wondering where it all went. If that sounds familiar, good. You're the exact person this video is for. Today we're going through 8 things you should do with your money the moment it lands in your account. Not vague advice like spend less, save more. Actual steps, in order, that will make your financial life noticeably less chaotic, starting this month. Step 1. Find your financial baseline. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Most people aren't bad with money because they're irresponsible. They're bad with money because they're guessing. You roughly know what you earn. You sort of know what you spend. But that gap in between? That's where your money goes to die. The fix is embarrassingly simple. Open a spreadsheet and write down every monthly expense. Rent, groceries, utilities, phone, internet, all of it. Don't estimate. Find the actual numbers. Now here's where it gets interesting. Once you have that full list, delete everything that isn't keeping you alive and housed. Not forever, just for this exercise. You're left with 3 core categories: housing, food, and the basics like electricity and your phone plan. That total is your financial baseline, the bare minimum your life costs to run each month. Why does this number matter? Because every financial decision from here builds on it. You can't build a safety net if you don't know how big a hole you're trying to cover. Aim to keep your baseline under 50% of your take-home pay. If it's over that, you're not doing anything wrong. You just need to find where the swap is. Maybe not a smaller apartment, but maybe a phone plan that doesn't include coverage in places you've never been. Step 2. Build an emergency fund. Now that you know your baseline, the first thing you need to do with any extra money is sit it somewhere and not touch it. That's your emergency fund. The goal is 6 months of your baseline number saved up, liquid, accessible, and boring. This is not an investment. It's not supposed to grow. It's supposed to exist. The reason most people skip this step is they think emergencies are rare. They're not. Cars break. Landlords do illegal things. Bodies malfunction at the worst possible time. The average person will face a significant unexpected expense every few years, and without a buffer, that expense becomes debt, which costs you more money on top of the money you didn't have. If your baseline is $3,000 a month, you want $18,000 sitting there doing nothing. That number sounds big until you compare it to what a loan plus interest would cost you for the same emergency. Build this first. Everything else comes after. Step 3. Attack your high-interest debt. Debt at high interest rates is not a neutral thing sitting in your life. It is actively eating your income every single month before you get to decide what to do with it. There are 2 ways people pay off debt, and both of them work. The disagreement is really about what kind of person you are. The avalanche method. You list your debts by interest rate and destroy the highest rate one first, regardless of the balance size. Mathematically, this saves you the most money. If you're someone who can stay motivated by a spreadsheet going to zero, this is your move. The snowball method. You ignore the interest rates and pay off the smallest balance first. You'll pay slightly more overall, but you get the psychological hit of closing out accounts. And for a lot of people, that momentum is worth more than the math. Pick one. The worst thing you can do is pick neither and just pay minimums forever, which is how a $2,000 debt becomes a 7-year relationship you never consented to. Track it. Every payment. Watching the number shrink is more motivating than any podcast about financial mindset. Step 4. Start investing, even if it feels absurd. Most people delay investing until they feel ready. There is no ready. There's just now and later is more expensive. Here's the only thing you need to understand about investing. Compound growth is the closest thing to a financial cheat code that exists legally. Your money earns returns. Those returns earn returns. Over decades, this creates a gap between the person who started at 25 and the person who started at 35 that no amount of catching up fully closes. The stock market has historically returned around 10% annually over the long run, meaning money invested consistently tends to roughly double every decade without you doing anything clever. Where to put it in order? First, your employer's retirement plan, especially if they match contributions. If your employer matches even a portion of what you put in, that's an immediate return on your money before the market does anything. Contribute at least enough to get the full match. Skipping it is turning down part of your compensation. Second, a tax-advantaged retirement account like a Roth IRA or your country's equivalent. You pay tax now, but the growth comes out completely tax-free later. You can also withdraw your original contributions if something goes sideways. It's more flexible than people assume. Third, a regular brokerage account for anything beyond that. No special tax treatment, but no restrictions either. For what to actually buy, low-cost index funds. Not individual stocks. Not crypto tips from someone you follow online. Just broad, diversified, low-fee funds, and then leave them alone. Step 5. Invest consistently, not cleverly. Once you start investing, you're going to be tempted to get smart about it. Watch the market. Wait for a dip. Pull out when things look sketchy. Don't. The strategy is called dollar cost averaging, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You invest the same fixed amount every month, no matter what the market is doing. When prices are low, your money buys more. When prices are high, it buys less. Over time, this averages out to a cost per share that's lower than if you tried to time anything. The reason this works isn't magic. It's the fact that nobody knows when the market is actually at its bottom. Not fund managers. Not economists. Definitely not the guy on YouTube who predicted the crash for years in a row. Set your amount. Automate the transfer. Stop looking at it every week.
Step 6. Account for opportunity cost. This one sounds more philosophical than it is. Every hour of your time has a value. If you can earn $50 an hour doing your freelance work or your side hustle, then spending 3 hours cleaning your house is a $150 decision, even if you're not paying anyone. Now, some tasks you just want to do yourself. That's fine, but some you're doing out of habit or guilt, or because it never occurred to you to price your own time. Make a short list of things that eat your time and that you genuinely dread. For each one, find out what it would cost to hire someone. Then compare that to what you could earn or rest in the same window. Sometimes the math says keep doing it yourself. Sometimes it says you're spending money you don't have in the form of hours you can't get back. Step 7. Automate everything you just decided. Here's the quiet reason most financial plans fail. They rely on you making good decisions while tired, distracted, and mildly stressed, which is most of the time. Decision fatigue is a real thing. The more choices you make in a day, the worse those choices get by evening. Manual budgeting asks you to make the right call every month, which means eventually you won't. Automation removes the decision entirely. The setup is straightforward. Your paycheck lands in your checking account. Automatic transfers move money into a spending account for fixed bills and essentials, and a savings account for everything else. From savings, scheduled transfers go to your emergency fund, your debt payments, and your investment accounts, in the order that matches where you are in these steps. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to remember it. It happens whether you're on top of things or you're having a week. Get the structure right once. Then let it run. Step 8. Review, not obsess. The last step is the one people get wrong in both directions. Either they never look at their finances, or they check their investment account every morning like it's a group chat. Twice a year. Pick 2 dates, 6 months apart. Sit down, look at everything. Your baseline, your savings progress, your investment balances, your debt, and ask one question. Is anything out of alignment? If yes, adjust. If no, close the tab and go do something you enjoy. Personal finance is supposed to be something you set up well enough that it stops demanding your attention, not a second job you work forever. The goal of all of this is not to become someone who's obsessed with money. It's to become someone who doesn't have to be. So there it is. 8 steps in order. Find your baseline. Build your emergency fund. Kill high-interest debt. Start investing. Invest consistently. Price your time. Automate the whole thing. And check in twice a year like a reasonable adult. None of this is complicated. Most of it is just doing the unglamorous thing before the fun thing, which, it turns out, is the whole secret. If this helped, subscribe. There's more where that came from.